Hi guys, I'm glad you're all here. Thank you very much for joining me. You know me, I like to dig into information, and I was wondering just exactly how many homes and businesses are in East Palestine, Ohio. We got real estate, we got industrial manufacturer, waste recycling, flowers and antique, gift stores, restaurants, grocery stores, hardware, automotive, and farming, medical insurance, lawyers, banks, accounting, computer services, churches. They have individual members, organization, association, government, library, and then miscellaneous. Here we got under miscellaneous, flags and specialties, stick to fitness, probably a fitness center, a photographic shop, and then Main Street Kennels. SJP, computerized accounting. One bank is listed, Home Savings and Loan Company. 2 churches listed. Restaurant and groceries, Dole Fresh Meat and Deli, Palestine. Liquor shop, Peace Valley Orchards, and Todd Sparkle Market. We know that they got some fast food restaurants, at least one McDonald's. Let's see, automotive and farming. Rockenberg Auto Parts, a Chevrolet and Pontiac dealership, it looks like. Martin's Auto Body, Roger Mill Incorporated. Another auto sales. And another one for ag and farming equipment company. Fuller True Value Hardware Store, T&M Hardware and Rental, electronics store, Tapco, Brushville Supply, Elder Ag and Turf Equipment Company, and Brush Heating. Law Office of Shirley J. Smith, a Oliver and Lindsley Funeral Home, a insurance company, another one probably an insurance company, a chiropractic service, and Threshold Residential Services. I mean, there's a lot of businesses there that aren't listed here. The reason I looked it up, this is going to probably end up being a case like 3 Mile Island, where, people just couldn't go back. Many of you don't know about 3 Mile Island. That was a nuclear meltdown in 1979, and the area is still contaminated with radiation, even though they say currently, oh, it's safe, you can live there. But many people left and never came back. So if Norfolk Southern had to buy out every home and business there in East Palestine, what would the total cost be? Definitely more than what the company is worth. I looked up how much their net worth is, and it's only $51.2 billion. So who owns Norfolk Southern? Let's see here. 1.52%. Southern Insiders. I don't know who that is. 24.40% is real estate investors. Vanguard is the largest individual Norfolk Southern shareholder, owning $18.53 million. Evidently, I don't know if this is true or not, but half of the derailments from Norfolk Southern were on their tracks or by their trains. They are a Fortune 300 company and supposedly focus on service, safety, and leadership. Is Norfolk Southern in financial trouble? Based on the latest financial disclosures, Norfolk Southern has a probability of bankruptcy of 39.0%. The total debt that they have is $14.79 billion. That was in 2021. So I don't know what it is now. I had mentioned in my last article about this disaster how the majority of the contaminated water is being sent to Texas Molecular. Well, evidently there's 2 places in Michigan and one in Ohio that they're also sending the contaminated waste. The areas in Michigan city officials only found out about yesterday. And the EPA now is in full control of what's going on with the hazardous materials, the soil that is being removed, and making sure that materials that were under the train tracks, which won't be removed for another month because they were so anxious to get the line back open. They finally signed the papers, EPA taking control of the work yesterday, which was Saturday, I believe. They only found out yesterday that some of the toxic soil and liquids have already been sent to Michigan. One of the places, Republic Waste Management in Romulus, Michigan. Going to Google Earth. Yep, look how close they are to all these homes. They can't even tell government officials if the trucks that are transporting the material is being inspected to make sure they're not leaking, and they have proper brakes and other safety equipment. This area here is a deep well injection site. Contaminated soil is set to be moved to a site in Van Buren Township, also I believe there in Michigan, Wayne County. U.S. Senator Debbie Dingell, a Democrat from Michigan, said that Norfolk Southern made the decision to ship the material to Michigan prior to the EPA taking control of the operation. They only took control yesterday. Wayne County Executive Warren Evans is not happy about it, saying he and Governor Gretchen Whitmer's office were kept in the dark before learning bits and pieces through the grapevine. It sounds in all intents and purposes that we were being sandbagged. The definition for sandbag means to be treated harshly or unfairly, downplay one ability towards another, in a game in order to deceive, as in gambling. I don't know how you do that without contacting local officials so that we can be, number one, know how to respond to our communities, and two, to give advice about routes to take and those sort of things, Evans said. U.S. Senator Representative Debbie Dingell said that as of Friday morning, 5 trucks had already come to Michigan on Friday with the substance earmarked for the Romulus deep injection well. That decision to ship it there evidently was made by the railroad company. The 5 trucks contained vinyl chloride, which was 99% water and 1% vinyl chloride. This here is the location where the contaminated soil is going to be brought in. Wayne Disposal Incorporated. And let's bring it out. We got farmland, looks like an airport, an art museum, a large body of water. Yeah, lots of homes. Here's an image of the soil that's being disposed of. Let's see, we got, some kind of leaching system it shows for waste liquid and to collect it. A leak detection area, compact clay, and some other kind of fill material. A membrane to keep it into the ground. Yeah, it's probably plastic. Who knows for how long this stuff can stay laying on the ground, and if it's exposed to the air, how much of it will go up into the air, scattered by the wind. Let me bring this over so you can. It says Wayne Disposal Hazardous Landfill near Belleville features 2 synthetic liners. Oh, 2 liners. A system for collecting leakage and accumulated liquids, which is 1%. A leak detection system, and a layer of clay. What she's also said was, what I do know is that some of the material's already at the landfill. I'm understanding from the EPA that some of that transport will be shut down immediately, and they're going to make arrangements for some of that material to go to other places. There's only 10 places here in the United States where hazardous material can go. So the reason I brought up 3 Mile Island, what they need to do is go in and buy up all the land, all the businesses, all the homes, the farms, put a giant fence around it, close it off like 3 Mile Island, and just keep the stuff there. 3 Mile Island is still being cleaned up. They think that area won't be cleaned up until 2079. All of these sites have been fined and shut down in the past because of violations and breaking the laws of environmental protection. They're saying that so far 4,832 cubic yards of soil have been excavated from the ground, and more may be removed as cleanup proceeds. Under the railroad tracks, the railroad is not planning to remove that soil for another month. All they did was put gravel on top of the soil, and you can see that one image here. And here we have another image of gravel and soil that was brought in, because they were in a rush to get the rail line open up, because there was another train behind it coming in. So sometime a month from now, when that process begins to dig up the tracks and remove the soil underneath, that soil will be hauled away, they say, immediately and taken to a proper disposal facility. Soil from the East Palestine, Ohio derailment evidently will be moved by truck to the U.S. Ecology Waste Disposal in Belleville. Another Norfolk Southern train hauling hazardous materials derailed in Wayne County just last week. Even though officials said no toxic waste spilled in Van Buren Township crash, Dingell said that it was incredibly stupid to deliver contaminated soil from the site of one derailment to another. I found an article from 2014. It says here, despite assurance that Belleville Landfill and its apparent facility in Van Buren Township that accept radioactive fracking waste are safe, they have been cited for at least 15 violations in the last decade and were fined more than $471,000. Violations cited by regulators from the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality and the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency revealed incidents including a leak in their hazardous waste landfill, primarily protective liner, toxic leakage spills into surface water, improper venting and monitoring of stored underground hazardous waste, disposing of hazardous waste in non-hazardous landfill locations, and failing to control chemical reaction during processing that cause fires on site. DEQ records show that at least 9 fires had started in Michigan disposal processing facility in the past 9 years as a result of toxic chemicals reacting with each other during treatment. Despite the violations and mishaps, the Wayne Disposal Landfill got DEQ permission in 2012 to just about double its size to a total capacity of nearly 22.5 million cubic yards. The landfill drew attention with the revelation last month that it had planned to receive up to 36 tons of low-activity radioactive fracking sludge from a Pennsylvania oil and gas driller. The waste had earlier been rejected by landfills in both Pennsylvania and West Virginia. People in the past have complained about smelling the gas, wondering what they were breathing, and it says that Wayne Disposal is one of 17 hazardous waste permitted facilities in the country, and one of only 3 east of the Mississippi River. So in 2009, the company gave the township $500,000 to improve its children's baseball field adjacent to the landfill, as well as royalties of $325,000 a year. And then in return, the landfill received a 99-year lease. Yeah, and they're paying $1 a year for that lease. Now, this other paper I found about U.S. ecology, Michigan Waste Treatment Plant, Michigan Disposal Incorporated, Toxic Substance Control Act, says they are allowed to take 50 parts per million. Now, we know that water that they're accepting is a lot higher than probably 50 parts per million. Now, that's for PCBs. And more than likely, because the government often does, they raise the amount of contaminants that different sites are allowed to have. I believe it was on the 21st of this month that Ohio Governor Mike DeWine visited Palestine. Joe Biden has not visited there. Other people have gone there, supposedly representing him. Donald Trump went there and provided water to the people. And then for different workers, he bought them McDonald's. Where's all these high-profile environmentalists? I haven't heard any of them saying anything about this disaster. DeWine evidently visited 2 homes, telling them that so far the testing has come back that the water is safe. To prove his point, supposedly he took a little sip of the water. That's him here, drinking the water. Michael Reagan was also there. I don't know if he drank the water or not, but he had a glass of it. That's him right there in the middle, and that's the homeowner, Mrs. Brown. Where have we heard this term before? Reagan evidently said, "We believe in science. We don't feel like we're being your guinea pig, but we don't mind proving to you that we believe the water is safe." The officials next visited the home of a former chemistry teacher, Andres Bupinis, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, and they drank from his tap water too, supposedly. When Ohio Governor Mike DeWine announced that the municipal water in East Palestine showed no evidence of contamination from the train derailment and chemical spill, he relied on the data that came from Norfolk Southern contractor instead of state or local officials. Last I heard, those tests have still not come in. They are saying the results from the Columbian County General Health District came in a few hours later, but officials say the tests confirm the data from the lab hired by the derailed train's owner. But the final report still hasn't been released more than a week later. If the results they are showing are correct, then fine, drink the tap water, said Nicole Karn, a Ohio State University professor who manages the undergraduate chemistry lab. Did that testing actually come from wells that are very shallow, maybe 50 feet deep? Now, that testing came from 5 municipal wells on February 10th. So we know that groundwater takes a while to leach down. What's it showing now? What's it going to show 6 months from now? A year from now? Karen from the University of Columbia said that both the preliminary and final reports from Eurofin released last week show concerning details about how the water samples were collected. First, the pH balance on 5 of the 6 samples in the preliminary report was wrong. There is a certain protocol that the EPA has deemed necessary for the analysis of these volatile organic compounds. And one of those parameters is that the water is acidic, Karen said. Lowering the water's pH with acid helps certain chemicals, like vinyl chloride, from reverting back into a gas. If the solution isn't acid enough, Kern said those gases could escape when the samplings are opened and skew the results. This here is an image of the Norfolk Southern CEO, Alan Shaw. The second problem, Karen said, was that the air bubbles in some of the samples. The bubbles can cause the same problem as the pH being off, in that they create a space for chemicals that naturally want to gas to go. When the sample is open, those gases dissipate, and the water can test cleaner than it actually is. Both the Ohio EPA and the Norfolk Southern have disputed claims that these samples might not be accurate, and they haven't done retesting. And the testing did not test for dioxins either. Well, now that the EPA is taken over, I wonder if it's still going to be true that further testing will be done by the Ohio EPA and will take place in a different lab than one that's being chosen by Norfolk Southern. As of right now, the U.S. EPA is not testing the water in East Palestine, nor was data from the federal agency used by DeWine when he told the town's residents that their water was safe. The exception to the water testing results is Sulphur Run, a creek in East Palestine that the Ohio EPA says was grossly contaminated by the train derailment. Residents have seen dead fish and reported symptoms like headaches, dizziness, rashes, and eye irritation. Some are reporting having coughs. Vinyl chloride is a highly flammable, potentially explosive gas that can cause permanent damage to the liver, permanent damage to your skin, permanent damage to your neurological system, according to the CDC. And it was not a controlled burn. It was an uncontrolled burn. If it was a controlled burn, the amount of oxygen that the chemicals received would have been controlled, so it didn't create this huge black plume. Burning it off created another hazardous chemical, though. It's called phosgene, and people have correctly noted that its use as a chemical weapon in World War I. People have reported that their pets are dying, their pets are getting sick. People have reported acid rain, where the paint is coming off their cars. That scientist, Karen, said she personally wouldn't drink the municipal tap water in East Palestine yet. It's just a part of me being a little bit skeptical, she said. But I would be drinking bottled water until I see more results. Evidently, even DeWine's office doesn't know how many truckloads of contaminated soil were shipped to Michigan. They're saying maybe 15 or 20 truckloads of it. And 5 truckloads were returned to East Palestine. Why were they returned? That's another question. So why are they being, as they call it, sandbagged? Why were they not notified ahead of time, just like Texas? There in Deer Park, they were not notified. Is there a gag order? Is there something about the contamination we don't know about? Why were the 5 trucks that drove all that way turned around and sent back? Yeah, a lot of questions. Is this going to be another 3 Mile Island? Yeah, the company definitely does not have the money to buy out all the homes and businesses, and that's what it's going to have to be done later. What are your thoughts? Please put those comments down below. Thank you very much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Please share. That will help with the ranking, and a lot of people don't know what is going on. Please stay safe, and I'll talk to you later. God bless you. Bye.